Take a moment to imagine your brain right now. Millions of neurons firing in precise coordination, thoughts flowing like electricity through biological circuits. But here's something that might surprise you. Deep within those neural pathways, at the very foundation of your consciousness, scientists are discovering processes that don't follow the rules of everyday physics. They follow quantum physics. And if recent research is correct, your mind might be far more connected to the fundamental fabric of the universe than we ever dared to imagine. Welcome to a journey through one of science's most fascinating frontiers, where the line between mind and cosmos begins to blur in the most unexpected ways. I'm here to guide you through discoveries that are quietly revolutionizing our understanding of consciousness itself. If you're settling in for the evening, perhaps with a warm cup of tea, you've chosen the perfect moment to explore how the quantum world might be whispering secrets directly into your thoughts. Before we drift deeper into this mystery, take a breath and notice the space around you, the air you're breathing, the light touching your skin, even the silence between sounds. What if I told you that all of this, including the very awareness with which you perceive it, might be connected through invisible quantum threads that stretch across the cosmos? That's the possibility we're going to explore together. For decades, neuroscientists have explained consciousness through the language of classical physics. Neurons firing like tiny electrical switches, neurotransmitters flowing like chemical messengers, memories stored like files in a biological computer. It's an elegant model, and it's served us well. But there's been a quiet problem lurking beneath the surface, something researchers call the hard problem of consciousness. The hard problem isn't about understanding how neurons communicate or how memories form. It's about explaining why you have subjective experience at all. Why does the firing of billions of neurons create the felt sense of being you? Why do you experience the redness of red, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the particular quality of your mother's voice? Classical physics, for all its precision, struggles to explain how mere matter gives rise to the rich inner world of conscious experience. This is where quantum physics enters the story, not as a mystical solution, but as a scientific framework that might finally bridge the gap between brain and mind. Recent experimental evidence is revealing that the quantum realm, with its strange rules of superposition and entanglement, might be operating right inside your neurons. And if this research proves correct, consciousness isn't just an emergent property of complex neural networks. It might be something far more fundamental, something woven into the very fabric of reality itself. Consider this. Every thought you're having right now involves the movement of electrons through cellular structures smaller than you can imagine. These particles don't behave like tiny marbles rolling through tubes. They exist as clouds of probability, occupying multiple states simultaneously until something causes them to choose a definite position. This isn't science fiction. This is the well-established reality of quantum mechanics, and it's happening in your brain right now. Recent discoveries have identified specific cellular structures called microtubules that appear to function as biological quantum computers. These hollow protein cylinders, found throughout your neurons, were once thought to be mere scaffolding, structural supports for the cell. But new research suggests they might be far more sophisticated than anyone imagined. They might be the place where quantum processes give rise to conscious experience. Picture a single neuron in your brain. If you could shrink down to molecular size and explore its interior, you discover an intricate network of microscopic tubes, each one about 1,000,000 times thinner than a human hair. These are microtubules, and they're found throughout every neuron in your brain. For years, scientists treated them as cellular housekeeping, important for structure and transport, but not directly involved in consciousness. That view began to change in the 1990s when Nobel Prize-winning physicist Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff proposed something radical. They suggested that these microtubules might be operating as quantum computers, processing information through the strange rules of quantum mechanics rather than classical physics. Their theory, known as orchestrated objective reduction, or ORC-OR, proposed that consciousness arises when quantum computations in microtubules reach a critical threshold and collapse into definite states. For decades, this idea was met with skepticism. Critics argued that the brain is too warm and chaotic for quantum effects to survive. Quantum coherence, they said, requires the pristine isolation of a laboratory, not the bustling biochemical environment of a living cell. But recent experimental evidence is challenging these assumptions in remarkable ways. In 2024, researchers at Wellesley College conducted a groundbreaking experiment that provided the first direct evidence supporting the quantum nature of consciousness. They administered anesthetics to laboratory rats, while simultaneously treating some of them with drugs that stabilize microtubules. The results were striking. Rats with stabilized microtubules remained conscious significantly longer than those without the treatment. This suggests that microtubules play a direct role in maintaining consciousness, supporting the quantum theories that have been developing for decades. But the evidence goes deeper. Researchers at the University of Alberta have demonstrated that microtubules can maintain quantum coherence for thousands of times longer than previously thought possible in biological systems. When they exposed microtubules to ultraviolet light, they observed quantum effects lasting for nanoseconds, an eternity in quantum terms. Similarly, scientists at the University of Central Florida discovered that microtubules can re-emit light for hundreds of milliseconds to seconds, providing more than enough time for quantum processes to influence neural activity. These findings represent a fundamental shift in our understanding of biology. If microtubules can indeed maintain quantum coherence in the warm, wet environment of the brain, it opens up entirely new possibilities for how consciousness might emerge from matter. It suggests that your brain isn't just a classical computer made of biological parts. It might be a quantum computer of extraordinary sophistication, processing information through the fundamental laws that govern reality itself. As you continue listening, take a moment to notice the awareness that's observing your thoughts right now. That sense of being present, of experiencing this moment, that's the phenomenon we're trying to understand. Recent research suggests this awareness might not be produced by your brain alone, but might emerge from your brain's interaction with quantum fields that permeate all of space. This brings us to one of the most intriguing developments in consciousness research: the possibility that awareness itself is connected to what physicists call the zero-point field. This isn't empty space as we once imagined it. According to quantum field theory, even the vacuum of space is filled with fluctuating energy, a sea of virtual particles constantly appearing and disappearing. Some researchers now propose that consciousness might emerge from the brain's ability to resonate with this fundamental field of the universe. Dr. Joachim Kepler, a theoretical physicist studying consciousness, has developed a model suggesting that specific structures in the brain, particularly cortical microcolumns containing about 100 neurons each, can couple directly with the zero-point field. According to his research, this coupling doesn't just influence brain activity, It might be the very mechanism through which conscious experience arises. In this view, your brain doesn't create consciousness. Instead, it functions more like a radio, tuning into a consciousness field that already exists. This perspective fundamentally changes our relationship with the universe. If consciousness emerges from interaction with cosmic fields, then awareness isn't an isolated phenomenon confined to individual brains. It's a universal property, and each conscious being represents a unique way that the cosmos becomes aware of itself. You're not just in the universe, you're the universe experiencing itself from a particular perspective. Recent experimental work has provided tantalizing evidence for this field-based view of consciousness. Researchers using advanced MRI techniques have detected what appears to be quantum entanglement in living human brains. These entangled states correlate with conscious activity and working memory performance, suggesting that quantum effects aren't just present in the brain, but are actively involved in the processes that generate conscious experience. The implications are profound. If consciousness involves quantum entanglement, and quantum entanglement connects objects instantaneously, regardless of distance, then every moment of awareness in your brain might be connected to quantum processes occurring throughout the universe. This doesn't mean you can telepathically communicate with distant galaxies, but it does suggest that consciousness participates in the fundamental interconnectedness that quantum physics reveals at the deepest levels of reality. One of the most puzzling aspects of quantum mechanics is the role of observation in determining reality. In the quantum realm, particles don't have definite properties until they're measured. They exist in what physicists call superposition, occupying multiple states simultaneously. Only when an observation occurs does the quantum system collapse into a definite state. This raises a profound question that has puzzled physicists since the early days of quantum theory. What exactly constitutes an observation? Does it require a conscious observer, or can any physical interaction cause quantum collapse? The answer to this question has enormous implications for our understanding of consciousness and its role in shaping reality. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that consciousness plays a fundamental role in the collapse of quantum systems. In this view, it's not just any physical interaction that determines quantum outcomes, but specifically the involvement of conscious awareness. This would mean that consciousness isn't just a product of quantum processes, it's an active participant in determining the nature of reality itself. However, this remains one of the most controversial areas in quantum physics, and no scientific consensus exists on the precise relationship between consciousness and quantum measurement. What we can say is that quantum mechanics reveals a universe far stranger than our everyday experience suggests, one where the traditional boundaries between observer and observed become blurred in fascinating ways. Recent experiments in quantum mechanics have demonstrated effects that challenge our conventional understanding of cause and effect. In so-called delayed choice quantum eraser experiments, decisions made by conscious observers appear to influence the behavior of particles retroactively. While this doesn't involve actual time travel, it does suggest that consciousness and quantum reality interact in ways that transcend our ordinary concepts of temporal sequence. These findings don't prove that consciousness directly controls quantum events, but they do suggest that the relationship between mind and matter is far more intimate than classical physics would suggest. As you reflect on these ideas, consider the possibility that your very awareness of these concepts might be participating in the ongoing creation of reality, not through magical thinking or wishful visualization, but through the fundamental quantum processes that connect consciousness to the cosmos. Take a breath and imagine what this could mean for you. If consciousness truly operates through quantum mechanisms, then your awareness isn't separate from the universe you observe. It's an integral part of the cosmic process through which reality unfolds moment by moment. This doesn't grant you supernatural powers, but it does place you at the very heart of the universe's ongoing creative evolution. This perspective transforms how we might think about our place in existence. You're not just a temporary arrangement of matter that happens to be conscious. You're a focal point through which the universe explores its own nature, a conscious aperture through which cosmic intelligence experiences itself. And if recent research proves correct, this isn't poetic metaphor, it's scientific reality. As we continue our exploration, we'll delve deeper into the experimental evidence supporting these extraordinary claims and examine what they might mean for our understanding of consciousness, reality, and our profound connection to the cosmos that created us. As we drift deeper into this exploration, let's pause for a moment to consider something remarkable happening right now in your body. While you listen to these words, processing language and meaning with effortless precision, billions of quantum processes are unfolding within your cells. This isn't speculation or wishful thinking. It's a growing field of scientific inquiry called quantum biology, and it's revealing that life itself has evolved to harness the strange properties of the quantum world. Take photosynthesis, the process that powers nearly all life on Earth. For decades, scientists assumed that plants convert sunlight to chemical energy through purely classical mechanisms. But recent research has uncovered something extraordinary. When a photon of light strikes a leaf, it doesn't simply bump electrons around like billiard balls. Instead, the energy enters a quantum superposition, exploring multiple pathways simultaneously before settling on the most efficient route to the plant's energy conversion centers. This quantum coherence allows photosynthesis to achieve efficiency rates above 95%, far higher than any human-engineered solar panel. Plants, it turns out, are natural quantum computers using the principles of superposition to navigate energy through their molecular machinery with breathtaking precision. And this discovery has profound implications for understanding how quantum effects might operate in the human brain. If quantum coherence can persist in the warm, wet environment of a leaf, maintained by the constant motion and chemical activity of living cells, then the traditional objection to quantum consciousness begins to crumble. The brain, like a leaf, is a complex biological system operating at body temperature. If plants can maintain quantum effects under these conditions, why not neurons? This question has led researchers to investigate quantum processes in other biological systems. Migratory birds, for instance, appear to use quantum entanglement in specialized proteins within their eyes to sense Earth's magnetic field. When light strikes these proteins, called cryptochromes, it creates pairs of entangled electrons whose quantum states remain connected even as they separate. The interaction of these entangled particles with magnetic fields may provide birds with a kind of quantum compass, allowing them to navigate across thousands of miles with remarkable precision. Even our sense of smell might involve quantum processes. Some researchers propose that when odor molecules bind to receptors in your nose, electrons tunnel through the molecules in ways that depend on their vibrational frequencies. This quantum tunneling could allow your olfactory system to distinguish between molecules that have identical shapes but different vibrational signatures, explaining how you can detect subtle differences in scents that classical lock and key models struggle to account for. These discoveries in quantum biology provide crucial precedents for quantum effects in consciousness. They demonstrate that biological systems haven't just stumbled into quantum behavior by accident. Life appears to have actively evolved mechanisms to exploit quantum effects for enhanced function. This suggests that if consciousness does involve quantum processes, it wouldn't be a strange anomaly, but part of a broader pattern of quantum optimization in living systems. As you continue listening, notice how your awareness moves effortlessly from these words to the space around you, from memories to anticipations, from thoughts to emotions. This fluid, unified experience of consciousness has puzzled neuroscientists for decades. How does your brain, with its billions of separate neurons, create such a coherent, integrated sense of self? Classical neuroscience has approached this question by studying how different brain regions communicate through electrical and chemical signals. Neural networks firing complex patterns, creating what researchers call the neural correlates of consciousness. But there's been a persistent puzzle. How do these separate neural events bind together to create your unified experience of being present in this moment? This is where the orchestrated objective reduction theory, developed by physicist Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff, offers a radically different perspective. According to their model, consciousness doesn't emerge from the communication between neurons alone. Instead, it arises from quantum computations occurring within the microtubules of individual neurons, computations that become orchestrated across vast networks of brain cells. Imagine each microtubule as a quantum computer capable of existing in multiple computational states simultaneously. When these quantum states reach a critical threshold, they undergo what Penrose calls objective reduction, collapsing into definite outcomes that constitute moments of conscious experience. But here's the crucial insight. These quantum computations aren't isolated to individual neurons. They can become entangled across the entire brain, creating a unified quantum state that might explain the unified nature of consciousness itself. Recent experimental evidence has provided support for this orchestrated quantum activity. Researchers using advanced brain imaging techniques have detected patterns of neural activity that appear to involve quantum entanglement between different brain regions. These entangled states correlate with measures of consciousness and cognitive performance, suggesting that quantum effects aren't just present in the brain, but actively contribute to conscious experience. The implications are staggering. If consciousness involves quantum entanglement across neural networks, then your unified sense of self isn't just a clever illusion created by classical neural processing. It's a genuine quantum phenomenon, a state of matter in which separate components become so deeply connected that they function as a single, indivisible whole. This perspective offers a potential solution to what philosophers call the binding problem: how separate neural events combine to create unified conscious experience. In classical physics, separate objects remain fundamentally separate, even when they interact. But in quantum mechanics, entangled systems become so intimately connected that they lose their individual identities, functioning instead as aspects of a larger whole. Consider what this might mean for your experience right now. The visual processing of these words, the auditory processing of sound, the emotional resonance of ideas, the memories they evoke. All of these might be unified not through classical neural communication alone, but through quantum entanglement that makes them literally inseparable aspects of a single conscious moment. To understand how quantum processes might generate consciousness, researchers have turned to one of the most reliable ways to turn consciousness on and off: anesthesia. When an anesthesiologist administers drugs that render a patient unconscious, what exactly happens in the brain? And what might this tell us about the quantum nature of awareness? Traditional explanations focus on how anesthetic drugs disrupt classical neural communication, preventing different brain regions from coordinating their activity. But recent research has uncovered something more specific and more intriguing. Anesthetic drugs appear to target microtubules directly, disrupting the quantum processes that might be essential for conscious experience. In the groundbreaking 2024 experiment at Wellesley College that we touched on earlier, researchers made a remarkable discovery. When they administered anesthetic drugs to laboratory rats, while simultaneously treating some animals with compounds that stabilize microtubules, the rats with stabilized microtubules remained conscious significantly longer. They maintained their righting reflex, their ability to restore normal posture, for extended periods compared to untreated animals. This finding suggests that anesthetics don't just disrupt classical neural networks. They specifically interfere with quantum processes in microtubules, and when these quantum processes are protected, consciousness persists even in the presence of anesthetic drugs. This provides some of the strongest evidence yet that microtubules and the quantum computations they might perform play a direct role in generating conscious experience. Additional experiments have deepened this connection between anesthetics and quantum effects. Researchers at the University of Alberta discovered that anesthetic drugs alter a phenomenon called delayed luminescence in microtubules, where these structures re-emit trapped light in ways that appear to involve quantum processes. When anesthetics are present, this quantum re-emission changes in predictable ways, suggesting that the drugs are directly interfering with quantum coherence within neural structures. Similarly, scientists at Princeton University found that anesthetic drugs prevent the propagation of quantum excitations through microtubules. When they use lasers to excite molecules within these structures, the excitation spread further than classical physics would predict, unless anesthetics were present. Under anesthesia, this quantum propagation was blocked, providing another line of evidence that these drugs specifically target quantum processes associated with consciousness. These findings offer a new framework for understanding consciousness itself. If awareness depends on quantum computations in microtubules, then consciousness isn't just an emergent property of complex neural networks. It's a quantum phenomenon that can be turned on and off by disrupting specific quantum processes. This transforms consciousness from a mysterious emergent property to a potentially measurable quantum state of matter. As you reflect on these discoveries, consider what they might mean for your own experience of awareness. Every time you drift into sleep or emerge from dreams, every shift in your level of consciousness might reflect changes in quantum processes occurring within the microtubules of your neurons. Your awareness might be, quite literally, a quantum phenomenon unfolding in the cellular structures of your brain. Take a breath and imagine what this could mean for your place in the cosmos. If consciousness truly emerges from quantum processes, and if quantum mechanics reveals fundamental interconnectedness at the deepest levels of reality, then your awareness isn't isolated within the boundaries of your skull. It's connected to the quantum fabric of the universe itself. This brings us to one of the most profound implications of quantum consciousness research: the possibility that individual minds are expressions of a universal consciousness field. Some researchers propose that the zero-point field, the quantum energy that permeates all of space, might be inherently conscious. According to this view, brains don't create consciousness, but rather tune into and modulate an already existing field of awareness that fills the universe. Dr. Joachim Kepler's research suggests that specific neural structures, particularly cortical microcolumns containing roughly 100 neurons each, can resonate with the zero-point field through quantum electrodynamic processes. These microcolumns, bathed in pools of glutamate, the brain's most abundant neurotransmitter, might function as biological antennas, coupling neural activity with the fundamental energy field of the cosmos. This perspective radically transforms our understanding of what it means to be conscious. If awareness emerges from the brain's resonance with universal quantum fields, then consciousness isn't produced by neural activity alone. Instead, it arises from the interaction between biological processes and the deeper structures of reality itself. Your thoughts, your emotions, your sense of self. All of these might be expressions of cosmic intelligence experiencing itself through the unique configuration of your brain. Recent experimental work has provided intriguing support for this field-based view of consciousness. Using advanced MRI techniques, researchers have detected what appears to be quantum entanglement in living human brains during conscious activities. These entangled states correlate with working memory performance and subjective reports of awareness, suggesting that consciousness involves quantum processes that transcend the classical boundaries of individual neurons. If consciousness involves quantum entanglement, and if quantum entanglement connects objects instantaneously, regardless of distance, then every moment of awareness might participate in a web of connection that spans the universe. This doesn't mean you can telepathically communicate with distant stars, but it does suggest that consciousness is fundamentally non-local, connected to quantum processes occurring throughout the cosmos. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics go even further, proposing that consciousness plays an active role in the collapse of quantum systems. In this view, awareness isn't just a passive observer of reality, but an active participant in determining the nature of what becomes real. While this remains highly speculative, and no scientific consensus exists on this interpretation, it raises profound questions about the relationship between mind and matter. Consider the delayed choice quantum eraser experiments that have puzzled physicists for decades. In these studies, decisions made by conscious observers appear to influence the behavior of quantum particles retroactively, as if the act of observation can reach backward in time to determine what happened in the past. While this doesn't involve actual time travel, it does suggest that consciousness and quantum reality interact in ways that transcend our ordinary understanding of cause and effect. These findings don't prove that your thoughts directly control quantum events, but they do reveal that the relationship between consciousness and reality is far more intimate than classical physics suggests. If you enjoy drifting through these explorations without interruption, members get every episode 48 hours early, completely ad-free. You can join them whenever you feel ready. As you contemplate these possibilities, notice how the very act of understanding changes your relationship with the ideas themselves. Your consciousness isn't just receiving information about quantum processes. If these theories prove correct, your awareness is itself a quantum phenomenon, participating in the fundamental processes that give rise to reality moment by moment. As we continue our journey into the quantum nature of consciousness, we encounter one of the most mind-bending concepts in modern physics, the holographic principle. Originally developed to understand black holes, this principle suggests that all the information contained within a volume of space can be encoded on its boundary, much like a hologram stores a three-dimensional image on a two-dimensional surface. When applied to consciousness, the holographic principle offers a radical new perspective on how your mind might relate to the universe. Some researchers propose that consciousness itself might be holographic, with each individual mind containing information about the entire cosmos. Just as each fragment of a hologram contains the complete image, albeit at lower resolution, your consciousness might contain information about universal patterns and structures. This isn't mere speculation. The holographic model helps explain some of the most puzzling aspects of consciousness, such as the capacity for insight, creativity, and what some call intuitive knowing. If your mind is indeed holographic, accessing information from universal patterns, then creative breakthroughs might represent moments when consciousness tunes into deeper layers of cosmic information. Consider how new ideas seem to emerge from nowhere during moments of relaxation or meditation. Artists speak of channeling creativity. Scientists describe sudden insights that solve long-standing problems, and mystics report accessing knowledge that seems to transcend personal experience. The holographic model suggests these experiences might reflect consciousness, accessing information encoded in the quantum structure of reality itself. Recent research in neuroscience has revealed patterns that support holographic models of brain function. Studies of memory storage show that information isn't localized to specific brain regions, but distributed throughout neural networks in ways that mirror holographic encoding. Damage to particular brain areas doesn't erase specific memories, but reduces the resolution of all memories, exactly as would be expected in a holographic system. Moreover, the discovery of quantum coherence in neural microtubules provides a physical mechanism through which holographic information processing might occur. If microtubules function as biological quantum computers, they might access and process information holographically encoded in the quantum fields that permeate space. This perspective suggests that learning and memory aren't just about storing information in neural networks. They might involve accessing patterns already present in the holographic structure of consciousness itself. When you learn something new, you might not just be encoding information in your brain. You might be tuning into patterns of knowledge that exist within the universal hologram. The implications extend beyond individual consciousness to collective human experience. If consciousness is indeed holographic and connected to universal information fields, it might explain how insights and discoveries often emerge simultaneously in different minds across the world. The holographic model suggests that when consciousness reaches certain thresholds of coherence or resonance, it naturally accesses deeper levels of universal information. As you reflect on these ideas, notice how they feel different from merely intellectual concepts. If consciousness is holographic, then your understanding of these principles isn't just about processing information. It's about recognizing patterns that are already present within the holographic structure of your own awareness. The very act of comprehending these ideas might be consciousness recognizing itself in its universal form. This recognition transforms the nature of learning and discovery. Rather than accumulating external information, you might be uncovering knowledge that exists within the deeper structures of consciousness itself. Each insight, each moment of understanding becomes a form of remembering, a recovery of information that was always present in the holographic depths of awareness. Take a moment to notice the boundaries of your experience right now. Where does your consciousness end and the external world begin? This question, which might seem purely philosophical, is being challenged by recent discoveries in quantum consciousness research. If awareness truly emerges from quantum processes, then the boundaries of consciousness might be far more fluid than we've ever imagined. Traditional neuroscience locates consciousness firmly within the skull, generated by neural activity in the brain. But quantum mechanics reveals a universe where boundaries are often illusory, where particles can be entangled across vast distances and information can be encoded non-locally throughout space. If consciousness involves quantum processes, then it might not be confined to the physical boundaries of the brain. This possibility is supported by research into what scientists call extended mind phenomena. Studies of meditation practitioners using advanced brain imaging have revealed that deep meditative states correlate with changes in the quantum coherence of neural microtubules. But more intriguingly, these changes appear to synchronize with electromagnetic field fluctuations that extend beyond the physical boundaries of the brain. Some researchers interpret these findings as evidence that consciousness, at least in certain states, might extend into the surrounding environment through quantum field effects. This doesn't mean consciousness literally spreads out like smoke from the brain, but rather that the quantum processes underlying awareness might interact with quantum fields in the surrounding space. This extended view of consciousness finds support in studies of what's known as the field effect of meditation. Research conducted in various cities around the world has suggested that when groups of experienced meditators practice together, there are measurable changes in social indicators such as crime rates and hospital admissions in the surrounding areas. While these findings remain controversial and preliminary, they raise intriguing questions about whether consciousness might influence its environment through quantum field interactions. The mechanism underlying such effects, if they exist, might involve what physicists call coherent quantum fields. When microtubules in many brains achieve similar states of quantum coherence, they might create collective field effects that extend beyond individual nervous systems. This remains highly speculative, and no scientific consensus exists on whether such collective consciousness effects are real, but the theoretical framework provided by quantum field theory makes such phenomena at least conceivable. Recent experiments have also explored whether quantum entanglement might occur between different brains. Preliminary studies using EEG monitoring have reported correlations between the brain activity of meditators practicing together, correlations that appear to exceed what would be expected from classical communication or shared environmental influences. While these findings require further replication and verification, they suggest the possibility that consciousness might be capable of quantum-level connections between individuals. If consciousness does extend beyond individual brains through quantum field effects, it would fundamentally transform our understanding of personal identity and social connection. Rather than being isolated islands of awareness, individual minds might be more like whirlpools in a vast ocean of consciousness, distinct patterns within a larger field of awareness. This perspective offers a scientific framework for understanding experiences that have been reported throughout human history. The sense of connection with nature, the feeling of collective consciousness in groups, and the intuitive awareness that seems to transcend individual knowledge. Rather than dismissing these experiences as subjective illusions, quantum consciousness research suggests they might reflect genuine features of how awareness operates at its deepest levels. As you consider these possibilities, notice any shift in how you perceive the boundaries of your own awareness. If consciousness truly operates through quantum field effects that extend beyond the brain, then your awareness right now might be participating in a vast network of interconnected consciousness, connected through quantum processes to the awareness of others and to the fundamental intelligence of the cosmos itself. This doesn't diminish your individuality or personal responsibility, but it does place your consciousness within a larger context of universal awareness. You remain uniquely yourself, but you're also an expression of something far greater, a focal point through which cosmic intelligence experiences and explores its own nature. Human consciousness is reaching beyond the familiar and gazing into the quantum mirror of reality itself, where mind and cosmos reflect each other in ways we're only beginning to understand. As you settle deeper into these ideas, consider a possibility that's quietly revolutionizing both physics and philosophy. What if the universe isn't fundamentally made of matter and energy, as we've long believed, but of something far more subtle and familiar? What if reality itself is made of information? This isn't just philosophical speculation. Leading physicists are seriously considering the idea that information, not matter, might be the most basic constituent of existence. This shift in perspective began with discoveries about black holes. When matter falls into a black hole, the information it contains doesn't simply disappear. Instead, physicists have found that all the information about everything that ever fell into a black hole is encoded on its surface, on its event horizon. This discovery, known as the holographic principle, suggests that what we think of as three-dimensional reality might actually be information encoded on a two-dimensional boundary. If this sounds abstract, consider your own experience of consciousness. Every moment of awareness involves the processing of information, visual patterns, sounds, thoughts, memories, emotions. Your brain doesn't directly experience objects in the world, but rather processes information about them. The redness of an apple, the sound of rain, the feeling of warmth, all of these are informational patterns created by your nervous system. In a very real sense, your entire conscious experience is made of information. Recent research in quantum consciousness suggests this might be more than metaphor. If consciousness emerges from quantum information processing in neural microtubules, then awareness itself might be a fundamental feature of how information organizes itself in the universe. Rather than consciousness arising from complex arrangements of matter, matter itself might be a particular way that conscious information expresses itself in space and time. This information-theoretic view of reality offers a fresh perspective on the hard problem of consciousness. Instead of asking how matter gives rise to mind, we might ask how universal information manifests as both matter and consciousness. In this view, the subjective experience of being you isn't something separate from the objective, physical world. Both mind and matter are different aspects of the same underlying informational reality. Consider what this might mean for your sense of identity. If you're fundamentally a pattern of information, rather than a collection of particles, then your continuity as a person doesn't depend on maintaining the same atoms in your body. Your cells replace themselves constantly, yet you remain recognizably yourself, because the informational pattern that constitutes your consciousness persists through these physical changes. This perspective also illuminates the quantum nature of consciousness in new ways. Quantum mechanics, at its core, is a theory about information, about what can be known and when it can be known. Quantum superposition isn't really about particles being in multiple places at once. It's about information existing in multiple potential states until an observation causes it to crystallize into definite form. If consciousness operates through quantum information processing, then awareness might be the universe's way of actualizing potential information into experienced reality. Each moment of conscious experience might represent the collapse of quantum information states into the definite patterns of thought, perception, and feeling that constitute your subjective experience. Recent experiments in quantum information theory have revealed something remarkable. Information appears to be more fundamental than the physical systems that process it. Quantum information can exist in states that have no classical analogue, and it can be processed in ways that transcend the limitations of classical computation. If consciousness involves quantum information processing, it might have access to forms of information and computation that go far beyond what classical models of the brain would suggest. This brings us to a profound possibility. If consciousness is fundamentally informational, and if information is the basic constituent of reality, then consciousness might not be something that emerged late in cosmic evolution. Instead, it might be a fundamental feature of the universe itself, present wherever information is organized in sufficiently complex ways. Take a breath and notice how this idea feels as it settles into your awareness. If consciousness is universal information organizing itself into experience, then your awareness right now is the cosmos becoming conscious of itself through the particular informational pattern that you are. You're not separate from the universe, looking in from the outside. You are the universe experiencing itself from the inside through the unique informational lens of your consciousness. In the deepest reaches of quantum mechanics lies a mystery that touches the very heart of existence, the relationship between possibility and actuality. Before measurement, quantum systems exist in what physicists call superposition, a state where all possible outcomes coexist simultaneously. Only when an observation occurs does this cloud of possibilities collapse into a single, definite reality. This strange dance between the possible and the actual might be the key to understanding how consciousness emerges from the quantum realm. Think about this moment of your own experience. Right now, countless possibilities exist for what you might think next, how you might feel, where your attention might turn. Yet somehow, from all these possibilities, specific thoughts and feelings emerge into your conscious experience. This process of actualization, of possibility becoming reality, mirrors the fundamental dynamics of quantum mechanics at the deepest levels of physical reality. Some researchers propose that consciousness is precisely this process of actualization occurring in quantum systems within the brain. According to this view, the microtubules in your neurons exist in superposition states containing multiple possible configurations simultaneously. When these quantum systems reach critical thresholds, they collapse into definite states, and these moments of collapse correspond to moments of conscious experience. This offers a radically new perspective on the nature of choice and free will. Rather than your decisions being predetermined by prior causes, or being random events without connection to your intentions, your choices might represent genuine moments of quantum actualization. When you decide to focus your attention, to pursue a particular line of thought, or to act in a specific way, you might be participating in the fundamental process by which the universe actualizes possibilities into reality. Recent experiments have provided intriguing evidence for this view. Researchers studying decision-making processes have found that brain activity associated with choices begins before people report being aware of their decisions. Classical neuroscience has interpreted this as evidence that consciousness doesn't really make choices but merely becomes aware of decisions that have already been made unconsciously. However, quantum consciousness research suggests a different interpretation. The early brain activity might represent the emergence of quantum superposition, states containing multiple possible choices. The moment of conscious decision might correspond to the collapse of these quantum possibilities into definite outcomes. In this view, consciousness doesn't just observe decisions, it participates in the quantum process through which possibilities become actualized. This perspective transforms our understanding of mental causation. Rather than consciousness being a passive observer of brain activity, or an epiphenomenon with no real causal power, awareness might be the subjective aspect of the quantum processes through which the brain actualizes possibilities into definite neural states. Your thoughts and intentions wouldn't just correlate with brain activity, they would be the inner experience of the quantum processes that determine which neural possibilities become actual. Consider how this might apply to creativity and insight. When you're struggling with a problem and suddenly experience a breakthrough, classical neuroscience might describe this as the unconscious processing of information until a solution emerges into consciousness. But quantum consciousness research suggests something more profound. The creative process might involve consciousness exploring quantum superposition states containing multiple potential solutions simultaneously. The moment of insight might correspond to the collapse of these quantum possibilities into a definite solution, guided by the intentional focus of consciousness. This would make creativity a genuinely quantum process, where awareness participates in actualizing new patterns of information from the realm of pure possibility. Recent studies of meditation and contemplative practices provide support for this view. Advanced practitioners report states of consciousness characterized by a profound sense of openness to possibility, often described as awareness resting in pure potential before thoughts and perceptions crystallize. Brain imaging studies of these states reveal patterns of neural activity that suggest decreased quantum decoherence in neural networks, potentially allowing for extended periods of quantum superposition. If consciousness can indeed modulate quantum coherence in the brain, it might be able to influence the process by which possibilities become actualized into experience. This doesn't mean you can directly control quantum events through wishful thinking, but it suggests that the quality of your awareness, your level of presence and coherence might influence which quantum possibilities your consciousness actualizes into experienced reality. As you reflect on these ideas, notice the quality of openness in your own awareness right now. If consciousness is indeed the process by which quantum possibilities become actualized, then this very moment of understanding represents the universe actualizing the possibility of knowing itself more deeply through your awareness. Deep within your brain, a subtle rhythm pulses through your neural networks, a pattern of activity that neuroscientists call gamma waves. These high-frequency oscillations, cycling 40 to 100 times per second, have long been associated with moments of heightened awareness, binding disparate sensory inputs into unified conscious experiences. But recent research suggests these gamma rhythms might be more than just neural coordination. They might be the signature of quantum processes orchestrating consciousness itself. When researchers examine the brains of meditation practitioners in states of deep absorption, gamma wave activity reaches extraordinary levels of coherence and amplitude. These aren't random electrical fluctuations, but precisely synchronized oscillations that appear to coordinate neural activity across vast networks of brain cells. More intriguingly, the frequency of these gamma waves corresponds closely to the vibrational frequencies predicted for quantum processes in neural microtubules. This correlation suggests that gamma rhythms might reflect the orchestration of quantum computations across neural networks. If microtubules function as quantum computers, as the orchestrated objective reduction theory proposes, then their quantum oscillations might synchronize with the electrical rhythms of neurons, creating the coherent gamma wave patterns associated with unified conscious experience. Consider what happens when you experience a moment of profound clarity or insight. Subjectively, you feel a sense of everything coming together, disparate pieces of information suddenly forming a coherent whole. Brain imaging during such moments reveals massive increases in gamma wave coherence, as if the entire brain is suddenly oscillating in harmony. If these gamma rhythms reflect quantum processes in microtubules, then moments of insight might correspond to the large-scale orchestration of quantum computations across neural networks. Recent experiments have revealed that anesthetic drugs, which eliminate consciousness, specifically disrupt gamma wave patterns. This isn't simply because they suppress neural activity in general. Anesthetics appear to selectively interfere with the high-frequency oscillations associated with conscious awareness while leaving many other brain functions intact. If gamma waves reflect quantum processes in consciousness, this selective disruption provides further evidence for the quantum nature of awareness. The timing of these gamma oscillations also provides clues about the temporal structure of consciousness. The orchestrated objective reduction theory predicts that moments of conscious experience occur in discrete intervals corresponding to quantum collapse events in neural microtubules. These intervals, lasting roughly 25 milliseconds, correspond closely to the period of gamma wave cycles, suggesting that the rhythm of consciousness might be fundamentally quantum in nature. This discrete, rhythmic nature of consciousness challenges our intuitive sense that awareness flows continuously like a stream. Instead, consciousness might be more like a series of snapshots, quantum moments of experience arising and passing away in rapid succession, creating the illusion of continuity, much like individual frames in a movie create the appearance of smooth motion. If you pause for a moment and examine your own experience carefully, you might notice this discrete quality of awareness. Thoughts, perceptions, and feelings don't really flow continuously, but seem to arise and pass away in distinct moments, each one complete in itself, yet connected to the next. This phenomenology of consciousness aligns remarkably well with the quantum mechanical picture of discrete collapse events, creating moments of definite reality from clouds of possibility. Recent research has also revealed that gamma wave coherence increases during states of expanded awareness, reported in mystical and contemplative experiences. Practitioners describe these states as transcending ordinary subject-object duality, experiencing consciousness as a unified field rather than a localized phenomenon. Brain imaging during such states shows unprecedented levels of gamma wave synchronization across brain regions, suggesting that expanded states of consciousness might involve the orchestration of quantum processes across increasingly large neural networks. This research provides a scientific framework for understanding consciousness not just as local brain activity, but as participation in more fundamental rhythms of quantum organization. If consciousness emerges from quantum oscillations in neural networks, then individual awareness might be a localized expression of quantum rhythms that extend throughout the universe. As you listen to these words, notice any sense of rhythm or pulsation in your own awareness. If consciousness is indeed quantum in nature, then your experience right now is arising from quantum oscillations in neural microtubules, synchronized with the gamma rhythms of your brain, participating in the fundamental frequencies through which the universe organizes information into conscious experience. Take a moment to consider the choice you made to continue listening to this exploration. Was that decision truly your own, arising from your conscious intentions? Or was it the inevitable result of prior causes stretching back to the beginning of time? This ancient question about free will has taken on new dimensions in light of quantum consciousness research, revealing possibilities that transcend the traditional debate between determinism and randomness. Classical physics painted a universe where every event, including every decision you make, was predetermined by the laws of physics acting on the arrangements of matter and energy that preceded it. In this deterministic worldview, free will was either an illusion, a subjective feeling attached to processes that were actually mechanistic, or it was random, emerging from quantum uncertainty but lacking any real connection to conscious intention. But quantum consciousness research suggests a third possibility, that free will emerges from consciousness participating in the fundamental process by which quantum possibilities become actualized into reality. Rather than your choices being either predetermined or random, they might represent genuine acts of creation, moments when consciousness influences which of many possible futures becomes actual. This perspective draws on one of the most puzzling aspects of quantum mechanics, the measurement problem. In quantum theory, systems exist in superposition states containing multiple possibilities until an observation causes them to collapse into definite outcomes. But what constitutes an observation? What causes the collapse? Some interpretations suggest that consciousness itself plays a fundamental role in this process. If consciousness can influence quantum collapse events, and if your brain operates through quantum processes in neural microtubules, then your conscious intentions might literally help determine which quantum possibilities become actualized in your neural networks. This wouldn't violate the laws of physics, but would represent consciousness participating in the fundamental quantum processes through which reality unfolds. Recent experiments in quantum mechanics have revealed phenomena that challenge our conventional understanding of cause and effect. In delayed choice quantum eraser experiments, decisions made by conscious observers appear to influence the behavior of particles retroactively. While this doesn't involve actual time travel, it suggests that consciousness and quantum reality interact in ways that transcend ordinary temporal sequence. These findings don't prove that consciousness controls quantum events, but they do suggest that the relationship between mind and matter is far more intimate than classical physics implies. If consciousness can influence quantum processes, even subtly, then genuine free will becomes possible within the framework of physical law rather than in opposition to it. Consider how this might manifest in your own experience. When you focus your attention, make a decision, or form an intention, you might not just be observing predetermined neural activity, but actively participating in the quantum processes that determine which neural possibilities become actualized. Your conscious choices might influence the probability distributions of quantum events in your brain, biasing them toward outcomes aligned with your intentions without violating the fundamental randomness of quantum mechanics. This view is supported by research into the effects of meditation and contemplative practices on brain function. Studies have shown that experienced practitioners can influence normally involuntary processes such as heart rate, blood pressure, and even immune function through focused attention. If consciousness can affect these physiological processes, it suggests that awareness has genuine causal efficacy in biological systems. More specifically, research into the neural correlates of intention has revealed that conscious goals and purposes correlate with changes in quantum coherence patterns in neural networks. When you form a clear intention, brain imaging shows increased coherence in gamma wave patterns across regions involved in goal-directed behavior. If these gamma rhythms reflect quantum processes in neural microtubules, then intention might literally orchestrate quantum computations that bias neural activity toward intended outcomes. This doesn't mean you can control reality through positive thinking or that consciousness operates outside physical law. Instead, it suggests that consciousness works within quantum mechanical principles to influence which of many possible futures becomes actual. Your free will operates not by violating causation, but by participating in the quantum processes through which causation unfolds. As you reflect on these possibilities, notice the quality of intention behind your attention right now. If consciousness can indeed influence quantum processes in the brain, then the very act of focusing awareness with clear intention might be exercising a form of free will that emerges from your participation in the fundamental creativity of the universe itself. This perspective transforms the experience of choice from either mechanical determinism or arbitrary randomness into genuine creativity. Moments when consciousness participates in the ongoing creation of reality through quantum processes that connect individual awareness with the deepest structures of the cosmos. As our exploration continues, let's step back and consider consciousness not as an isolated phenomenon confined to individual brains, but as part of a vast ecology of mind that extends throughout the living world and perhaps beyond. If consciousness emerges from quantum processes, and if quantum mechanics reveals fundamental interconnectedness at the deepest levels of reality, then awareness might be a property that appears wherever information organizes itself in sufficiently complex ways. This ecological view of consciousness finds support in the growing field of plant neurobiology, which has revealed that plants exhibit behaviors that suggest forms of information processing and even primitive awareness. Plants can distinguish between self and other, communicate with neighboring plants through chemical signals, and make decisions about resource allocation that appear to involve something analogous to learning and memory. While plants lack nervous systems, they do contain microtubules throughout their cellular structures, the same protein assemblies that quantum consciousness researchers propose as the seat of awareness in animal brains. If consciousness can emerge from quantum processes in microtubules, then plants might participate in rudimentary forms of awareness, processing information and responding to their environment through quantum computations in their cellular networks. Recent research has revealed that forests function as vast networks of communication and resource sharing, mediated by fungal mycorrhizal networks that connect the root systems of different trees. These wood-wide webs allow forests to coordinate their behavior on large scales, sharing nutrients, water, and information about environmental threats. The complexity and sophistication of these networks suggests that forests might function as collective information processing systems, possibly supporting forms of distributed consciousness that span entire ecosystems. This perspective extends to the relationship between consciousness and the broader environment. If awareness emerges from quantum processes that interact with fundamental fields permeating space, then consciousness might not be strictly confined to biological boundaries. The quantum fields that potentially support awareness in brains extend throughout the environment, suggesting that consciousness might exist in the interactions between organisms and their surroundings. Indigenous wisdom traditions have long recognized this extended view of consciousness, describing awareness as a property of the land itself rather than something confined to individual minds. Modern research into the effects of natural environments on human consciousness provides scientific support for these perspectives. Studies have shown that exposure to natural settings increases measures of cognitive function, emotional well-being, and even creativity, suggesting that consciousness might indeed be enhanced by connection with natural systems. The quantum field effects that potentially support consciousness might also explain phenomena such as the collective behavior of animal groups. Flocks of birds, schools of fish, and swarms of insects exhibit forms of coordination that appear to transcend what could be achieved through local sensory information alone. If consciousness involves quantum field effects, these collective behaviors might reflect forms of distributed awareness that emerge from quantum coherence across multiple organisms. Recent experiments with groups of meditation practitioners have suggested that collective contemplative practices might create measurable field effects that extend beyond individual participants. While these findings remain preliminary and controversial, they suggest the possibility that consciousness might indeed operate through field effects that can coordinate across multiple individuals. This ecological perspective on consciousness has profound implications for how we understand our relationship with the natural world. Rather than being isolated observers of an unconscious environment, we might be participants in a vast ecology of awareness that extends throughout the living world and possibly beyond. Our consciousness might be intimately connected with the awareness of other organisms and with the information processing systems of the broader biosphere. If consciousness is indeed ecological in this sense, then the current environmental crisis takes on new dimensions. The degradation of natural systems might not just threaten biological diversity, but might also be diminishing the collective consciousness of the biosphere itself. Protecting and restoring natural ecosystems might be essential not just for biological survival, but for maintaining the conditions that support expanded forms of awareness. As you consider these possibilities, notice your relationship with the environment around you. If consciousness is ecological, extending beyond individual brains through quantum field effects, then your awareness right now might be participating in a vast network of consciousness that includes not just other humans, but the entire living world and perhaps the cosmos itself. This doesn't diminish your individual responsibility or autonomy, but it does place your consciousness within a larger context of interconnected awareness. You remain uniquely yourself, but you're also part of something far greater, an ecology of mind that spans from the quantum processes in your neurons to the collective intelligence of the biosphere and beyond. As we approach the culmination of our journey through the quantum landscape of consciousness, let's turn our attention to what these discoveries might mean for the future of human awareness. If consciousness truly operates through quantum processes, and if these processes connect individual minds to fundamental structures of reality, then we might be on the threshold of developments that could transform the very nature of human experience. Research into quantum consciousness is converging with advances in quantum technology to open possibilities that would have seemed like pure science fiction just decades ago. Scientists are developing quantum computers that exploit the same principles of superposition and entanglement that might underlie consciousness itself. As these technologies mature, they might provide new tools for understanding and even enhancing the quantum processes that support awareness. Some researchers speculate about the possibility of quantum neural interfaces, technologies that could interact directly with the quantum processes in neural microtubules. Such interfaces might allow for forms of communication and information processing that transcend the limitations of classical neural computation. While such technologies remain highly speculative, the basic scientific principles that would make them possible are already being explored in quantum consciousness research. More immediately, the growing understanding of consciousness as a quantum phenomenon is beginning to inform new approaches to education, therapy, and human development. If consciousness involves quantum coherence in neural networks, then practices that enhance coherence, such as meditation, contemplative inquiry, and certain forms of artistic expression, might literally be optimizing the quantum processes that support awareness. Recent research has shown that contemplative practices can increase measures of neural coherence that correlate with quantum mechanical predictions for organized microtubule activity. This suggests that ancient wisdom traditions might have empirically discovered methods for enhancing the quantum processes that support consciousness, even without understanding the underlying mechanisms. As our scientific understanding of consciousness deepens, we might develop new technologies and practices specifically designed to enhance quantum coherence in neural systems. These could include targeted electromagnetic field therapies, specific light frequencies that optimize microtubule function, or even environmental modifications that support quantum processes in the brain. The implications extend beyond individual enhancement to collective human potential. If consciousness involves quantum field effects that can coordinate across multiple individuals, then groups of people working with quantum-enhanced awareness might be capable of forms of collective intelligence and creativity that far exceed what individuals can achieve alone. This possibility is already being explored in research into collective meditation and group problem solving. Studies have suggested that groups practicing contemplative techniques together can achieve levels of coherence and insight that individual practitioners rarely reach. If these effects involve quantum processes, then understanding and optimizing these mechanisms might lead to new forms of collective human intelligence. The ecological perspective on consciousness also points toward potential developments in our relationship with the natural world. If consciousness extends beyond individual brains through quantum field effects, then technologies that enhance these connections might allow for deeper forms of communication with natural systems. We might develop the ability to interface directly with the information processing systems of forests, ecosystems, and perhaps even the biosphere as a whole. Such developments would require a fundamental shift in how we understand the boundaries between human consciousness and the broader environment. Rather than seeing ourselves as separate from nature, we might learn to experience ourselves as expressions of a larger consciousness that includes but transcends individual awareness. Perhaps most profoundly, if consciousness is indeed fundamental to the universe, rather than an emergent property of complex brains, then the future of consciousness might be limited only by the creativity and wisdom with which we explore our connection to cosmic intelligence itself. We might be approaching a phase of human development where consciousness begins to recognize itself as an expression of universal awareness, leading to forms of understanding and capability that we can barely imagine from our current perspective. Take a breath and imagine what this could mean for the generations that follow us. If consciousness truly operates through quantum connections to fundamental cosmic fields, then the future of human awareness might involve learning to participate more consciously in the processes through which the universe knows itself. This doesn't promise supernatural abilities or escape from physical law, but it does suggest that human consciousness might be capable of developments that would transform our understanding of what it means to be aware, to be alive, and to be connected to the cosmos that gave birth to us. As our exploration draws toward its close, the question becomes not just whether consciousness is quantum in nature, but how this understanding might transform the way you live your daily life. If your awareness truly emerges from quantum processes connected to the fundamental structures of reality, then every moment of consciousness represents a profound cosmic event, the universe becoming aware of itself through the unique perspective of your experience. This perspective invites a fundamentally different relationship with your own awareness. Rather than taking consciousness for granted as simply the background of experience, you might begin to appreciate each moment of awareness as a miraculous emergence of cosmic intelligence. The simple fact that you can experience these words, process their meaning, and feel their emotional resonance represents quantum processes of staggering complexity and beauty unfolding in the cellular structures of your brain. Recent research into mindfulness and contemplative practices provides practical guidance for working with consciousness as a quantum phenomenon. Studies have shown that present moment awareness, the cornerstone of mindfulness practice, correlates with increased quantum coherence in neural networks. When you bring full attention to immediate experience, you might literally be optimizing the quantum processes that support consciousness. This suggests that the simple practice of paying attention, of being fully present, isn't just psychologically beneficial, but might be a way of aligning yourself with the quantum processes through which consciousness emerges. Each moment of clear awareness might represent consciousness, recognizing its own quantum nature and optimizing the conditions for its own operation. The research into quantum consciousness also provides new perspectives on the nature of mental suffering and well-being. If consciousness involves quantum coherence in neural networks, then mental clarity and emotional balance might reflect optimal quantum organization in the brain. Conversely, states of confusion, anxiety, and emotional turbulence might correspond to decreased quantum coherence in neural systems. This doesn't reduce complex psychological phenomena to simple quantum mechanics, but it does suggest that practices that enhance coherence, presence, and clarity might be working at very fundamental levels of consciousness. Meditation, contemplative inquiry, creative expression, and other practices that cultivate awareness might literally be optimizing the quantum processes that support healthy consciousness. The ecological perspective on consciousness also transforms how you might relate to your environment and to other people. If consciousness extends beyond individual brains through quantum field effects, then your state of awareness doesn't just affect you personally, but contributes to the collective consciousness of your community and environment. This perspective brings a new dimension of responsibility to how you cultivate your own awareness. This perspective brings a new dimension of responsibility to how you cultivate your own awareness. When you approach each moment with presence and clarity, you're not just improving your personal experience, but potentially contributing to the coherence of consciousness in the broader field of awareness that connects us all. This doesn't place any burden of perfection on your shoulders, but it does suggest that your inner state might matter in ways that extend beyond your individual experience. The quantum view of consciousness also offers fresh perspectives on creativity and insight. If consciousness involves quantum processes that can access information holographically encoded in universal fields, then creative breakthroughs might represent moments when awareness tunes into deeper patterns of cosmic intelligence. This doesn't diminish the value of hard work and practice in creative endeavors, but it does suggest that inspiration might involve genuine connection with sources of information that transcend personal knowledge. When you experience sudden insights or creative inspirations, you might be participating in quantum processes that connect individual consciousness with universal patterns of knowledge and understanding. This perspective transforms creativity from mere personal expression into participation in the cosmos, exploring its own creative potential through individual awareness. Living with this understanding doesn't require dramatic changes in how you conduct your daily life, but it might transform the quality of attention you bring to ordinary experiences. Walking in nature, engaging in meaningful conversation, pursuing creative work, even simple acts of kindness might take on new significance as expressions of cosmic consciousness exploring itself through human experience. The research we've explored suggests that consciousness isn't just something you have, but something you participate in, a quantum phenomenon that connects your individual awareness with the fundamental intelligence of the universe itself. This understanding invites a quality of reverence for consciousness itself, an appreciation for the miraculous nature of awareness that makes all experience possible. As you continue through your days and nights, perhaps carrying these ideas with you like seeds of possibility, remember that every moment of clear awareness represents the universe becoming conscious of itself through your unique perspective. You're not just observing reality from the outside, but participating from within in the ongoing cosmic process through which existence comes to know itself. As we venture deeper into the implications of quantum consciousness, we encounter something beautiful and unexpected. If awareness truly emerges from quantum processes that connect individual minds to universal fields of intelligence, then compassion, empathy, and love might not be mere emotional responses, but expressions of the fundamental interconnectedness that quantum mechanics reveals at the deepest levels of reality. Consider what happens when you feel genuine compassion for another being. Something in your consciousness recognizes the suffering or joy of someone else and responds with care that seems to transcend the boundaries of your individual experience. Traditional psychology explains this as learned behavior, mirror neurons, or evolutionary adaptations that promote social cooperation. But quantum consciousness research suggests something more profound might be occurring. If consciousness operates through quantum field effects that extend beyond individual brains, then moments of genuine empathy might involve actual quantum connections between conscious beings. When you feel deeply for another person, you might be experiencing a quantum resonance between the awareness fields that support consciousness in both individuals. This doesn't mean you're literally feeling their emotions, but it suggests that compassion might be consciousness recognizing itself in another form. Recent research into the neuroscience of compassion has revealed patterns that support this quantum perspective. Brain imaging studies of experienced meditation practitioners show that cultivating loving kindness meditation increases quantum coherence patterns in neural networks while simultaneously enhancing the brain's capacity to resonate with the emotional states of others. This correlation suggests that quantum coherence in consciousness might be directly related to the capacity for genuine empathy and compassion. Moreover, studies of group meditation practices have revealed that when experienced practitioners cultivate compassion together, their brain activity begins to synchronize in ways that exceed what would be expected from shared intentions alone. The neural coherence between individuals appears to involve quantum-level correlations that suggest consciousness might indeed be capable of direct resonance between different minds. These findings don't prove that compassion involves quantum entanglement between minds, but they do suggest that the capacity for deep empathy might be related to the quantum processes that support consciousness. If awareness emerges from quantum fields that permeate space, then the boundaries between self and other might be more fluid than our everyday experience suggests. This perspective transforms the practice of compassion from a moral duty or psychological technique into participation in the fundamental interconnectedness of existence itself. When you cultivate genuine care for others, you might be aligning yourself with the quantum processes through which universal consciousness experiences itself through multiple perspectives simultaneously. The implications extend beyond human relationships to our connection with all life. If consciousness involves quantum processes that can resonate across biological boundaries, then the sense of kinship many people feel with animals, plants, and natural systems might reflect genuine quantum connections rather than mere projection or imagination. Indigenous wisdom traditions have long taught that all life is interconnected through invisible threads of relationship. Modern quantum consciousness research suggests these teachings might be describing actual quantum field effects through which consciousness extends beyond individual organisms into the broader web of life. Take a breath and notice any sense of connection you feel with the living world around you. If consciousness is quantum in nature, then these feelings of kinship and care might be expressions of quantum coherence, extending beyond the boundaries of your individual nervous system into the larger field of awareness that encompasses all life. This doesn't mean you should abandon practical concerns or personal boundaries, but it does suggest that the capacity for compassion might be rooted in the fundamental structure of consciousness itself. Every act of genuine kindness, every moment of sincere care for another being, might be consciousness recognizing and celebrating its own universal nature through the unique configurations of individual awareness. As our journey through quantum consciousness continues, we encounter one of the most profound paradoxes in human experience: the relationship between individual identity and universal connection. If consciousness truly emerges from quantum processes that connect individual awareness to cosmic intelligence, how do you maintain your unique sense of self while simultaneously participating in universal consciousness? This paradox isn't just philosophical speculation, but reflects genuine tensions revealed by quantum consciousness research. Studies of advanced meditation practitioners report states of consciousness where the sense of separate selfhood dissolves, while individual awareness remains crystal clear. Brain imaging during these states shows patterns of neural activity that suggest both increased quantum coherence and decreased activity in brain regions associated with self-referential thinking. These findings suggest that individual identity and universal consciousness aren't mutually exclusive, but represent different modes of quantum organization in awareness. Your sense of being a unique individual might correspond to quantum processes in your brain organizing themselves around specific patterns of memory, personality, and personal history. Meanwhile, The capacity to experience universal connection might involve these same quantum processes resonating with broader fields of cosmic intelligence. Recent research into the default mode network, the brain system associated with self-referential thinking, has revealed that this network's activity correlates inversely with measures of quantum coherence in neural microtubules. When the default mode network is highly active, quantum coherence decreases, and consciousness becomes more focused on individual identity and personal concerns. When default mode activity decreases, quantum coherence increases, and practitioners report experiences of expanded awareness and universal connection. This suggests that the sense of separate selfhood might emerge from quantum decoherence in neural networks, while experiences of universal consciousness might reflect increased quantum coherence that allows individual awareness to resonate with broader fields of intelligence. In this view, both individual and universal consciousness are valid modes of quantum organization, each offering unique perspectives on the nature of existence. The practical implications of this understanding are profound. Rather than seeing individual identity as an obstacle to spiritual development or universal connection as a threat to personal autonomy, quantum consciousness research suggests that both perspectives are essential aspects of how consciousness manifests in human experience. Your unique personality, memories, and individual perspective represent valuable configurations of cosmic intelligence exploring itself through the specific conditions of your life. Simultaneously, your capacity to experience connection with others and with the universe itself reflects consciousness, recognizing its own universal nature through individual awareness. This perspective resolves many of the apparent conflicts between personal development and spiritual growth, between individual success and universal compassion, between self-care and service to others. If consciousness is both individual and universal simultaneously, then taking care of your personal well-being and pursuing your unique gifts becomes a way of serving the cosmic intelligence that expresses itself through your awareness. Consider how this might transform your understanding of personal responsibility and spiritual practice. Rather than trying to transcend or eliminate your individual identity, you might learn to appreciate it as a unique expression of universal consciousness, while simultaneously cultivating your capacity to experience the broader connections that quantum processes make possible. The research suggests that the healthiest and most effective approach to consciousness development involves honoring both the individual and universal dimensions of awareness. Practices that strengthen individual clarity and coherence, such as mindfulness and contemplative inquiry, appear to enhance the quantum processes that support both personal well-being and universal connection. As you reflect on your own experience, notice how you can simultaneously feel deeply yourself and profoundly connected to something greater. If consciousness is quantum in nature, then this apparent paradox might reflect the actual structure of awareness itself, capable of existing as both localized individual experience and universal cosmic intelligence. This understanding doesn't diminish your personal uniqueness or dissolve your individual responsibilities. Instead, it places your individual consciousness within the larger context of cosmic awareness, allowing you to appreciate both your unique perspective and your fundamental connection to the intelligence that pervades all existence. As we approach the conclusion of our exploration, let's consider what it might mean to live your daily life with an appreciation for the quantum nature of consciousness. How might this understanding transform not just your conceptual knowledge, but the actual quality of your experience moment by moment. If consciousness truly emerges from quantum processes connected to the fundamental structures of reality, then every ordinary moment becomes extraordinary. The simple act of noticing your breath, feeling sunlight on your skin, or listening to the sound of rain becomes participation in cosmic intelligence, experiencing itself through the unique configuration of your awareness. This perspective doesn't require dramatic changes in your lifestyle or spiritual practices, but it might invite a subtly different quality of attention to whatever you're already doing. When you're washing dishes, walking to work, or having a conversation with a friend, you might occasionally remember that these experiences represent quantum processes of incredible sophistication unfolding in the cellular structures of your nervous system. Recent research into what scientists call quantum living has explored how awareness of consciousness as a quantum phenomenon affects subjective well-being and life satisfaction. Preliminary studies suggest that people who cultivate appreciation for the quantum nature of experience report increased sense of meaning, connection, and wonder in their daily lives. Though this remains an emerging area of research with limited scientific validation, the key insight seems to be that quantum consciousness awareness doesn't require special states or extraordinary experiences, but can be integrated into the most ordinary moments of life. When you're standing in line at the grocery store, instead of feeling impatient or bored, you might appreciate that your capacity to be aware of impatience, to notice your surroundings, to plan for the future, all represents quantum processes connecting your individual consciousness to the cosmic intelligence that created the universe itself. This appreciation doesn't eliminate life's challenges or transform every moment into bliss, but it does provide a broader context for whatever you're experiencing. Difficulties and disappointments become opportunities for consciousness to explore the full spectrum of human experience rather than personal failures or cosmic mistakes. The quantum view of consciousness also offers new perspectives on decision-making and goal pursuit. If consciousness participates in the quantum processes through which possibilities become actualized, then the quality of your intentions and the clarity of your awareness might influence which potential futures become manifest in your experience. This doesn't mean you can control reality through positive thinking or that consciousness violates physical law, but it does suggest that living with clear intentions and present moment awareness might optimize the quantum processes that support both personal well-being and creative manifestation within the bounds of natural possibility. Perhaps most importantly, quantum consciousness awareness invites a quality of reverence for the mystery of existence itself. No matter how much we learn about the quantum nature of consciousness, the fact that awareness exists at all remains profoundly mysterious. The simple reality that the universe has evolved beings capable of contemplating their own existence represents an achievement of cosmic intelligence that exceeds anything we can fully comprehend. As you continue through your days, carrying these ideas lightly like seeds of possibility, remember that your awareness itself is perhaps the most precious thing in existence. Every moment of consciousness represents the cosmos becoming aware of itself through your unique perspective, and every act of attention becomes participation in the ongoing creative evolution of universal intelligence. Take a breath and appreciate the miracle of this moment. Your capacity to understand these ideas, to feel wonder at the nature of existence, to experience love, beauty, and meaning, all of this emerges from quantum processes that connect your individual awareness to the fundamental creativity of the universe itself. This understanding doesn't grant supernatural powers or promise easy solutions to life's challenges, but it does place your consciousness at the very heart of cosmic significance. You're not just a temporary arrangement of matter that happens to be aware. You are awareness itself, cosmic intelligence, exploring its own nature through the unique lens of your individual experience. As our journey through the quantum landscape of consciousness draws towards its close, we find ourselves contemplating something both deeply personal and cosmically vast: the eternal dance between awareness and existence, between the observer and the observed, between the individual mind and the universal intelligence that created and sustains all things. If the research we've explored proves correct, then consciousness isn't just an accidental byproduct of cosmic evolution, but a fundamental feature of reality itself. From this perspective, the development of awareness in the universe isn't a random occurrence, but the cosmos gradually awakening to its own nature through countless forms of conscious experience, from the simplest organisms to the most sophisticated human minds. You are part of this cosmic awakening, a unique expression of universal intelligence, exploring what it means to be conscious, to love, to create, to suffer, and to wonder. Every experience you've ever had, from childhood memories to this very moment of listening, represents the universe coming to know itself through the particular configuration of awareness that you are. This perspective transforms the meaning of human existence from a brief flicker of consciousness in an unconscious cosmos to participation in the fundamental creative process through which reality unfolds. Your thoughts, emotions, relationships, and creative expressions all become ways that cosmic intelligence explores its own infinite potential through the medium of individual awareness. Recent research into what philosophers call cosmo-psychism, the idea that consciousness is a fundamental feature of the universe itself, has found support in quantum consciousness studies. If awareness emerges from quantum processes that connect individual minds to universal fields of intelligence, then consciousness might indeed be as basic to reality as matter and energy, present wherever information organizes itself in sufficiently complex patterns. This doesn't mean that rocks and rivers are conscious in the same way humans are, but it does suggest that consciousness might exist in many forms throughout the cosmos, from simple information processing in quantum systems to the sophisticated awareness that emerges in biological brains. Human consciousness would represent not the only form of awareness in the universe, but perhaps one of the most complex expressions of a universal tendency toward conscious experience. The implications reach far beyond scientific understanding into the realm of meaning and purpose. If consciousness is fundamental to reality, then the quest to understand awareness, to develop wisdom and compassion, to create beauty and meaning becomes participation in the cosmos fulfilling its deepest nature rather than mere personal pursuits. Every act of genuine understanding, every moment of authentic love, every creative breakthrough represents the universe advancing in its own self-awareness. When you experience wonder at the beauty of nature, insight into the nature of reality, or compassion for another being, you're participating in cosmic intelligence, celebrating and exploring its own magnificence through individual consciousness. This perspective doesn't diminish the importance of practical concerns or daily responsibilities, but places them within a larger context of cosmic significance. taking care of your health, pursuing meaningful work, nurturing relationships, contributing to your community, all of these become ways of serving the universal intelligence that expresses itself through your awareness. As you sit with these ideas, perhaps feeling a sense of both insignificance and cosmic importance, remember that this apparent paradox reflects the actual nature of consciousness itself. You are simultaneously a tiny spark of awareness in a vast universe, and the very capacity through which that universe knows itself. Both perspectives are true, and both are necessary for understanding the full mystery of existence. The quantum nature of consciousness suggests that you are neither separate from the cosmos nor dissolved into it, but exist as a unique focal point through which universal intelligence experiences itself. Your individual perspective matters because it represents an irreplaceable way that the cosmos explores its own nature, while your connection to universal consciousness ensures that you're never truly alone or isolated. This dance between individual uniqueness and universal connection continues moment by moment throughout your life, creating the rich tapestry of human experience that includes everything from the most mundane daily activities to the most profound spiritual insights. Each moment offers an opportunity to appreciate both your personal perspective and your participation in something infinitely greater than yourself. As we stand at the threshold of concluding this exploration, it's worth acknowledging that we've reached the current limits of human understanding. Despite all the research we've examined, despite the elegant theories and intriguing experimental results, consciousness remains fundamentally mysterious. The quantum nature of awareness, if it proves correct, doesn't solve the mystery of consciousness, but rather reveals that the mystery goes deeper than we ever imagined. This is perhaps as it should be. If consciousness truly participates in the fundamental creativity of the universe, then it would make sense that awareness contains depths that exceed any finite understanding. The fact that we can contemplate these questions at all, that consciousness can turn its attention toward its own nature, represents an achievement of cosmic intelligence that may be inherently beyond complete comprehension. The research into quantum consciousness opens doorways rather than providing final answers. Each discovery reveals new questions, each experiment suggests new mysteries to explore. We've learned that microtubules might function as quantum computers, that consciousness might involve entanglement across neural networks, that awareness might connect to universal fields of intelligence. But we've also learned that reality at its deepest levels is stranger and more wonderful than our everyday experience suggests. This ongoing mystery isn't a failure of science, but a reminder that consciousness participates in something larger than any system of knowledge can fully contain. The quantum realm, with its superposition states and probabilistic reality, suggests that existence itself might be fundamentally open-ended, always containing possibilities that exceed any complete description. Recent research into the limits of scientific explanation has revealed that even our most sophisticated theories necessarily leave aspects of reality unexplained. Quantum mechanics itself, despite its incredible predictive accuracy, doesn't really explain why quantum effects occur or what they mean for the nature of reality. It simply provides mathematical tools for calculating probabilities and predicting experimental outcomes. This limitation isn't unique to quantum consciousness research, but reflects a more general feature of human knowledge. Every scientific theory, no matter how successful, eventually reaches boundaries where further questions arise. The quantum nature of consciousness, if confirmed, would simply push these boundaries deeper into the mystery of existence itself. Perhaps this is the most profound insight we can take from our exploration. Consciousness participates in a reality that is inherently mysterious, always exceeding our capacity for complete understanding. This doesn't invalidate scientific inquiry, but places it within a larger context of wonder and appreciation for the unfathomable nature of existence. As you reflect on everything we have explored together, from quantum mechanics in neural microtubules to the possibility of universal consciousness fields, remember that these ideas point towards something that can never be fully captured in concepts or theories. The reality of consciousness, whether quantum or otherwise, always exceeds our descriptions of it. This recognition invites a quality of humility and openness that might be essential for continuing to explore consciousness authentically. Rather than claiming to have solved the mystery of awareness, we can appreciate that we've glimpsed aspects of something that remains fundamentally mysterious and wonderful. The quantum view of consciousness suggests that awareness participates in the creative edge of reality itself, where new possibilities continuously emerge from the interplay between the known and the unknown. In recognizing the limits of our current understanding, we open ourselves to discoveries that we can't yet imagine, insights that might transform our understanding of consciousness, reality, and our place in the cosmic story. In these final moments of our journey together, let's rest in the recognition that consciousness, whether quantum or otherwise, remains one of the great mysteries of existence. We've explored scientific research that suggests awareness might emerge from quantum processes connected to the fundamental structures of reality. But even if these theories prove correct, they point toward depths of mystery that we're only beginning to appreciate. This mystery isn't something to be solved and discarded, but something to be lived and explored continuously. Each moment of consciousness offers fresh opportunities to appreciate the wonder of awareness itself, regardless of whether we understand its underlying mechanisms. The simple fact that you can experience these words, contemplate these ideas, and feel whatever emotions they evoke represents a cosmic achievement that exceeds any explanation we might devise. The invitation that emerges from quantum consciousness research isn't to adopt specific beliefs or practices, but to approach consciousness itself with renewed appreciation and wonder. Whether you're washing dishes, walking in nature, engaging in conversation, or simply sitting quietly, you might occasionally remember that your capacity for awareness represents something extraordinary and mysterious. This appreciation doesn't require special knowledge or sophisticated understanding. It simply involves recognizing that consciousness, whatever its ultimate nature, is perhaps the most precious aspect of existence. Every moment of awareness, from the most ordinary to the most profound, offers an opportunity to appreciate the mystery of being conscious in a universe that somehow gave rise to consciousness itself. The research we've explored suggests that this mystery might extend far beyond individual human consciousness, to include quantum processes that connect awareness to the fundamental creativity of the cosmos. If these theories prove correct, then every moment of consciousness participates in the ongoing creative evolution of the universe itself. But even if quantum consciousness theories prove incorrect, even if awareness emerges through purely classical mechanisms, the mystery remains. How does matter give rise to experience? How does the universe become aware of itself? Why does consciousness exist at all? These questions point toward depths of mystery that might be inherent to existence itself. Perhaps the most important insight from our exploration is that consciousness invites participation rather than mere understanding. You don't need to solve the mystery of awareness to live consciously, to appreciate the wonder of experience, to cultivate wisdom and compassion, to create beauty and meaning. The mystery of consciousness is something to be lived rather than solved. As you continue through your days and nights, carrying whatever insights from this exploration feel meaningful to you, remember that your consciousness itself is the greatest gift you've been given. Whether it emerges from quantum processes or classical mechanisms, whether it connects to universal fields or remains localized to your brain, your awareness is what makes all experience, understanding, and appreciation possible. Take a final breath with me and appreciate this moment of consciousness itself. Whatever questions remain unanswered, whatever mysteries continue to elude our understanding, the simple fact that you are aware, that you can experience wonder and love and beauty and understanding is perhaps enough, more than enough, more than it's everything. The quantum nature of consciousness, if it proves real, simply confirms what mystics and philosophers have long suspected, that awareness participates in something vast and wonderful and fundamentally mysterious. And whether or not these theories prove correct, consciousness remains the light by which all knowledge and experience become possible. As our exploration reaches its gentle conclusion, imagine consciousness as a vast garden where quantum possibilities bloom into experienced reality. Each thought that arises in your awareness, each moment of recognition, each flash of understanding represents seeds of potential actualizing into the rich soil of present experience. The research we've journeyed through suggests this metaphor might be more than poetic language. It might describe the actual process through which consciousness participates in the creative unfolding of existence itself. Recent studies of what researchers call quantum creativity have revealed intriguing patterns in how insights emerge from the depths of awareness. When scientists monitor brain activity during moments of creative breakthrough, they observe sudden increases in quantum coherence across neural networks, as if disparate possibilities suddenly organize themselves into coherent patterns of understanding. While this remains speculative, and no scientific consensus exists on the quantum nature of creativity, these findings suggest that the emergence of new ideas might involve quantum processes that transcend classical models of information processing. Think about the last time you experienced a genuine insight, when understanding seemed to dawn spontaneously without deliberate effort. Perhaps you were walking quietly, letting your mind wander, when suddenly a solution to a long-standing problem simply appeared in consciousness. According to quantum models of cognition, such moments might represent quantum superposition states in neural microtubules suddenly collapsing into definite configurations that encode new patterns of understanding. This perspective transforms creativity from a mysterious process that we passively hope to experience into something we might learn to cultivate through understanding the conditions that support quantum coherence in consciousness. Practices that enhance present moment awareness, reduce mental noise, and create space for possibilities to emerge might literally be optimizing the quantum processes through which new insights crystallize from the field of pure potential. Consider how this applies to the creative work you do in your own life, whether artistic expression, problem solving in your profession, or simply finding new ways to approach everyday challenges. If creativity involves quantum processes in consciousness, then the quality of attention you bring to creative endeavors might influence which possibilities become actualized into manifest form. This doesn't mean you can control creative outcomes through force of will, but it suggests that cultivating receptive awareness might create optimal conditions for quantum creativity to unfold. The implications extend beyond individual creativity to collective human innovation. If consciousness operates through quantum field effects that can coordinate across multiple minds, then groups working with coherent awareness might access forms of collective intelligence that exceed the sum of individual contributions. This remains highly speculative, but preliminary research into group meditation and collaborative creativity has revealed synchronization patterns between participants that suggest quantum-level coordination between conscious minds. Take a moment to notice the quality of peace that settles through your awareness as you listen to these gentle explorations. Recent research into what scientists call therapeutic quantum coherence suggests that states of deep relaxation and meditative awareness might trigger quantum healing processes in the body that operate below the threshold of classical medical understanding. While these findings remain preliminary and controversial, they point toward possibilities that could transform our understanding of the relationship between consciousness and physical health. Studies of experienced meditation practitioners have revealed that sustained contemplative practice correlates with measurable changes in cellular processes, including increased activity in genes associated with DNA repair and reduced expression of inflammatory pathways. More intriguingly, these changes appear to involve quantum coherence in cellular microtubules, suggesting that consciousness might influence biological healing through quantum mechanisms rather than purely psychological pathways. This doesn't mean that meditation can cure serious illnesses or replace conventional medical treatment, but it does suggest that consciousness might participate in the body's natural healing processes in ways that classical medicine is only beginning to understand. If awareness operates through quantum field effects, then the coherent states cultivated in contemplative practice might literally resonate with the quantum processes that support cellular health and regeneration. The mechanism underlying such effects might involve what researchers call biophotonic coherence, the emission of coherent light by living cells during optimal functioning. Recent experiments have detected increased biophotonic emission from the bodies of meditation practitioners during states of deep absorption, suggesting that coherent consciousness might enhance the light-based communication systems that coordinate cellular activity throughout the body. While this research remains highly speculative and no medical claims should be based on preliminary findings, the possibility that consciousness participates in healing through quantum mechanisms opens fascinating avenues for future investigation. If proven correct, such research might lead to new forms of therapy that work with the quantum aspects of consciousness to support the body's natural capacity for health and regeneration. The most practical implication of this research is the recognition that the quality of your awareness might influence your overall well-being in ways that extend beyond stress reduction and psychological benefits. When you cultivate states of presence, gratitude, and inner peace, you might be optimizing quantum processes that support both mental clarity and physical vitality. As you continue to explore these ideas in your daily life, notice how different qualities of attention affect your sense of energy and well-being. States of worry and mental agitation might correlate with decreased quantum coherence in consciousness, while moments of presence and appreciation might enhance the very processes that support optimal functioning at every level of your being. In these twilight moments of our journey together, let's contemplate perhaps the most profound implication of quantum consciousness research. the possibility that meaning itself might be woven into the fundamental structure of reality. If consciousness truly connects individual awareness to cosmic intelligence through quantum processes, then the human search for purpose and significance might reflect consciousness recognizing patterns of meaning that exist at the deepest levels of existence itself. Recent developments in what philosophers call quantum phenomenology have explored how subjective experience might be connected to the information theoretic structure of the universe. If reality is fundamentally informational rather than material, as some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest, then consciousness might be the subjective aspect of the universe processing information about itself. In this view, every moment of meaningful experience represents cosmic intelligence exploring its own nature through the lens of individual awareness. This perspective transforms the human search for meaning from a psychological need imposed on an indifferent universe into participation in the fundamental process through which reality understands itself. When you experience a sense of purpose in your work, connection in your relationships, or wonder at the beauty of nature, you might be participating in quantum processes through which the universe creates meaning at the most basic level of existence. Consider how this understanding might transform your relationship with life's challenges and uncertainties. Rather than seeing difficulties as obstacles to happiness or meaning, quantum consciousness research suggests they might represent opportunities for cosmic intelligence to explore the full spectrum of possible experience through individual awareness. This doesn't romanticize suffering or suggest that all experiences are equally valuable, but it does place even difficult experiences within a larger context of cosmic exploration and understanding. The research into quantum consciousness also provides new perspectives on what mystics have long called the unity of existence. If consciousness operates through quantum field effects that connect individual minds to universal intelligence, then experiences of cosmic unity might reflect genuine contact with the quantum processes that underlie all existence rather than mere psychological states or wishful thinking. This doesn't mean that mystical experiences provide direct access to absolute truth, or that all spiritual interpretations are scientifically valid, but it does suggest that consciousness might be capable of genuine connection with the deeper structures of reality. The sense of meaning and purpose that emerges from such experiences might reflect awareness recognizing its own cosmic nature rather than mere subjective projection. As you reflect on your own search for meaning and purpose, consider the possibility that these impulses might reflect consciousness seeking to understand its place in the larger cosmic story. The quantum view of awareness suggests that your individual quest for significance participates in the universe's ongoing quest to understand itself through countless forms of conscious experience. As we spiral back to where we began, notice how understanding the quantum nature of consciousness returns us to a deeper appreciation of mystery itself. All our explorations through microtubules and field effects, through entanglement and coherence, ultimately point towards something that exceeds any explanation we might construct. The quantum realm doesn't solve the mystery of consciousness, but reveals that mystery goes deeper than we ever imagined. This return to wonder isn't a retreat from scientific understanding, but its natural culmination. Every genuine discovery in science opens doorways to deeper questions. Every answer reveals new mysteries to explore. The possibility that consciousness operates through quantum processes simply pushes the horizon of mystery further into the depths of existence itself. Recent research into what cognitive scientists call epistemic humility has revealed that the most creative and innovative minds are characterized not by certainty about their knowledge, but by sustained appreciation for what remains unknown. If consciousness truly participates in the creative edge of reality, then maintaining wonder and openness might be essential for consciousness to fulfill its cosmic function as an instrument of discovery and understanding. This suggests that the cultivation of wonder isn't merely an aesthetic preference, but might be functionally important for consciousness to operate optimally. When you approach experience with genuine curiosity rather than predetermined conclusions, you might be creating optimal conditions for the quantum processes that support insight, creativity, and understanding to unfold naturally. The quantum view of consciousness invites a quality of attention that is simultaneously precise and open, focused yet receptive to possibilities that exceed current understanding. This balanced awareness might represent the natural state of consciousness when it's aligned with the quantum processes that support its optimal functioning. Take a breath and notice how this understanding feels as it settles into your awareness. The recognition that consciousness participates in cosmic mystery rather than solving it might initially seem disappointing, but it actually liberates awareness from the burden of having to understand everything and allows consciousness to rest in the appreciation of existence itself. This appreciation doesn't require special knowledge or sophisticated practices. It simply involves recognizing that your capacity for wonder, your ability to be amazed by existence, might be one of the most valuable gifts consciousness has to offer. Every moment of genuine awe, every experience of being moved by beauty or touched by love represents consciousness celebrating the mystery of its own existence. In these final moments together, let's rest in what the poet Rainer Maria Rilke called living the question, dwelling authentically with the mysteries of consciousness without demanding immediate answers. The quantum research we've explored suggests that consciousness itself might be fundamentally question-like, always open to possibilities that exceed any finite understanding. If awareness truly operates through quantum processes that exist in superposition until observation causes them to crystallize into definite states, then consciousness might be inherently oriented toward exploration rather than conclusion. Each moment of awareness might represent the universe asking questions about its own nature through the unique perspective of individual experience. This question-like quality of consciousness transforms how we might approach both scientific inquiry and personal development. Rather than seeking final answers or absolute certainties, quantum consciousness research invites us to cultivate what researchers call cognitive flexibility, the capacity to hold multiple possibilities simultaneously while remaining open to evidence that might shift our understanding. Recent studies of contemplative practitioners have revealed that sustained meditation practice enhances exactly this kind of cognitive flexibility, increasing the brain's capacity to process paradox and uncertainty without premature closure. If consciousness operates through quantum processes, then practices that enhance cognitive flexibility might be optimizing the very mechanisms through which awareness explores reality. This doesn't mean abandoning the pursuit of knowledge or embracing relativism about truth, but it does suggest that the most authentic approach to understanding consciousness might involve maintaining what Zen Buddhism calls beginner's mind, approaching each moment of experience with fresh curiosity rather than predetermined conclusions. Consider how this might transform your relationship with your own consciousness. Rather than taking awareness for granted or assuming you understand how your mind works, you might approach your own experience with the same wonder you might feel when contemplating distant galaxies or quantum mechanics. Every thought, every emotion, every moment of perception represents quantum processes of incredible sophistication that we're only beginning to appreciate. The recognition that consciousness is fundamentally mysterious doesn't diminish its significance, but reveals its cosmic importance. If awareness participates in the universe questioning itself, then every moment of conscious experience contributes to the ongoing cosmic project of self-understanding. As you continue through your days carrying these contemplations lightly, remember that living the question of consciousness doesn't require special practices or extraordinary experiences. It simply involves approaching your ordinary awareness with appreciation for the mystery it represents. As our exploration draws to its natural close, let's settle into a recognition that might be the most important insight of all. Gratitude for the simple fact that consciousness exists at all. Whether awareness emerges from quantum processes or classical mechanisms, whether it connects to cosmic intelligence or remains localized to individual brains, the mere existence of consciousness represents an achievement so extraordinary that it deserves our deepest appreciation. Think about the magnitude of what has occurred in cosmic evolution for consciousness to emerge. From the quantum fluctuations that seeded the first galaxies to the formation of stars that forged the elements necessary for life, from the emergence of the first self-replicating molecules to the evolution of nervous systems capable of awareness, countless precise conditions had to align for consciousness to appear in the universe. And now, through mechanisms we're only beginning to understand, matter has organized itself in such a way that it can contemplate its own existence, experience beauty and love, create meaning and understanding. Whether this represents the universe becoming aware of itself through quantum processes or the remarkable emergence of awareness from classical complexity, it remains one of the most extraordinary developments in cosmic history. Recent research into what psychologists call existential gratitude has revealed that appreciation for the simple fact of existence correlates with enhanced well-being, increased creativity, and deeper sense of life satisfaction. If consciousness does operate through quantum processes connected to cosmic intelligence, then gratitude might literally be consciousness recognizing and celebrating its own cosmic nature. This gratitude doesn't require understanding how consciousness works or resolving the mysteries we've explored. It simply involves appreciating that you are conscious, that you can experience these words, contemplate these ideas, feel wonder, love, and curiosity. These capacities, however they arise, represent gifts of immeasurable value. As you continue through your life, perhaps occasionally remembering these explorations, let this appreciation be your compass. Whether you're engaged in ordinary activities or contemplating the deepest mysteries of existence, the recognition that consciousness makes all experience possible can infuse every moment with quiet significance. The quantum nature of consciousness, if it proves real, simply confirms what we might sense intuitively, that awareness participates in something vast and wonderful and fundamentally mysterious. But even if quantum theories prove incorrect, consciousness remains the light by which all knowledge, beauty, and meaning become possible. Take one final breath together and let yourself feel grateful for this moment of awareness itself. Whatever questions remain unanswered, whatever mysteries continue to elude our understanding, the simple fact that you're conscious that the universe has evolved the capacity to know itself through your experience is perhaps the most extraordinary fact in existence. Thank you for joining me on this gentle journey through the quantum landscapes of consciousness. Your willingness to explore these mysteries with openness and wonder contributes to the ongoing cosmic project of understanding through which the universe comes to know itself ever more deeply. As our journey draws toward its natural conclusion, we arrive at perhaps the most profound question of all. What happens when the universe becomes capable of understanding itself through mathematics? The equations that describe quantum consciousness, from the Schrödinger equation governing wave function, evolution, to the complex mathematics of quantum field theory, represent something extraordinary. They are symbols created by conscious beings to describe the very processes that might give rise to consciousness itself. Take a moment to consider the elegant circularity of this achievement. If consciousness emerges from quantum processes, then the mathematical descriptions of those processes were created by consciousness studying itself. The equations that might explain awareness were discovered by awareness examining its own foundations. This isn't just scientific progress, it's the cosmos developing tools to comprehend its own deepest nature through the mathematical insights of conscious minds. Recent research into what cognitive scientists call mathematical intuition has revealed fascinating patterns in how groundbreaking equations emerge in the minds of theoretical physicists. Brain imaging studies of mathematicians solving complex problems show sudden increases in coherence across neural networks during moments of mathematical insight, patterns that correlate with quantum mechanical predictions for organized microtubule activity. While this remains speculative, and no scientific consensus exists on whether mathematical discovery involves quantum processes, these findings suggest that the emergence of mathematical understanding might involve the same quantum mechanisms we've been exploring throughout our journey. Consider the profound implications if this proves correct. Every mathematical insight that has advanced our understanding of quantum mechanics, from Planck's introduction of the quantum constant to Penrose's objective reduction theory, might have emerged from quantum processes in the discoverer's consciousness. The universe would be using quantum consciousness to understand quantum consciousness, creating an infinite loop of cosmic self-comprehension that deepens with each mathematical breakthrough. This perspective transforms mathematics from a human invention or discovery into something more profound, a language through which the cosmos develops increasingly sophisticated ways of understanding itself. When you encounter a beautiful equation, whether the elegance of Einstein's E equals mc squared or the quantum mechanical description of consciousness we have explored, you might be witnessing the universe's poetry written in symbols that consciousness has evolved to comprehend. In these penultimate moments of our exploration, let's recognize how all the threads we followed, from quantum mechanics in neural microtubules to the possibility of universal consciousness fields, converge toward a single profound recognition. Consciousness appears to be far more central to existence than our everyday experience suggests. Whether awareness emerges from quantum processes or classical mechanisms, whether it connects to cosmic intelligence or remains localized to individual brains, consciousness represents the capacity through which the universe becomes transparent to itself. Every moment of understanding, every flash of insight, every experience of beauty or love represents reality, recognizing and celebrating its own nature through the medium of aware experience. The research we've journeyed through suggests that this isn't mere poetic metaphor, but might describe the actual structure of existence itself. If consciousness operates through quantum processes connected to fundamental cosmic fields, then individual awareness participates directly in the ongoing creative evolution of the universe. Your thoughts, insights, and experiences don't just matter to you personally, they contribute to the cosmic project of self-understanding through which reality comes to know itself ever more completely. As we reach the end of our gentle voyage through the quantum landscapes of consciousness, we find ourselves where all true explorations must eventually arrive, at the edge of wonder itself. The research we've wandered through together, from microtubules functioning as quantum computers to the possibility of consciousness resonating with universal fields, points towards something both humbling and magnificent. Your mind, this very awareness that has been listening and contemplating, might indeed be far more connected to the cosmos than our everyday experience suggests. Whether consciousness emerges from quantum processes or classical mechanisms, whether it extends beyond individual brains through field effects, or remains beautifully localized within the neural networks of your skull, one truth remains undeniable. Awareness itself is perhaps the most extraordinary phenomenon in the known universe. The simple fact that matter has organized itself in such a way that it can contemplate its own existence, experience beauty and meaning, and ask questions about the nature of reality represents an achievement so profound that it deserves our deepest reverence. Take a final breath with me and notice this moment of consciousness itself. Whatever mysteries remain unsolved, whatever questions continue to dance just beyond our understanding, you are here, aware, participating in the ongoing cosmic story through the unique lens of your individual experience. The quantum nature of consciousness, if it proves real, simply confirms what mystics and philosophers have long suspected, that awareness participates in something vast and wonderful and fundamentally mysterious, and perhaps that's enough. Perhaps the greatest insight isn't solving the mystery of consciousness, but learning to live gracefully within it, appreciating each moment of awareness as a gift from a universe that somehow became capable of knowing itself through you.